What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. All right, we have shown you the 2020 schedule for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now let's show you their projected record based off of this schedule and based off of their odds to win each game. And I want to be clear on this, as I always say, this is not a prediction. Our prediction will come much later on. It's just a projection based on the odds to win each game with the different percentages that we've put together. So let's be clear, it's not a prediction, but let's get into it and I'll show you how this works. We have 99% chance games. Those will be green. 80% will be blue. 60%, 40%, 20%, 1%, 50-50 games. That's how we have kind of divided this up. It's not perfect because some games, might be more like a 90% chance to win versus an 80% chance to win, but we had to use 80 because we only have so many colors here that we can use for this. So again, it's not perfect, and when you average it all out, teams are not going to have records as good as what they as you would expect, I guess you should say, because the odds are always going to be pulling them closer to 6-6 than it will to 12-0. So here's the schedule, and here are the 99% games. Basically 100% chance that Alabama will win these games. Georgia State, although Georgia State did beat Tennessee last year, Crimson Tide should roll in that game. Kent State, and then they have UT Martin late in the season. So you have 3 easy wins. I don't think you could put anyone in the SEC in this category. Maybe if they were playing Vanderbilt and playing them at home, you might would go that route. But everyone in the SEC is capable of pulling off an upset, and we don't know for sure how good Alabama's going to be. Maybe they're not quite as good as they have been in years past. So those are the only games we're going to go with 99% on. Now we go to the next tier. These are the games that are 80%, and these are games where the spread is going to be more than a touchdown. We're talking like double-digit spread for these games. So USC, I know USC, and I've even said this, they're going to be pretty good this year, but Nick Saban, week 1, with all the time to prepare, he just does not lose these games. So while I do expect USC to put up some points in this game, I just don't see much of a chance of them winning. So we're going 80% on that game. Same thing with Ole Miss. Ole Miss's offense may be able to put up some points, but I don't give them much of a chance of actually pulling off an upset there. Arkansas, even less of a chance. Arkansas is one of those you would put at 90 or 95% instead of 80%, but it is what it is. And then you have Mississippi State. Mike Leach taking over there. Maybe they give that Alabama secondary a little bit of trouble, but not really much of a chance of them actually winning that game. So 4 games that Alabama should absolutely win. It would be a pretty big shock if they were to lose one of those games. Now we go to the next 3 games. It would be a surprise if they lost to one of these teams, but I don't think it will be a shock. You've got Tennessee on the road. We know the Vols finished really strong last year, and you even go back to the game against Alabama last year. Tennessee played pretty well, played them tougher than a lot of the other teams, especially defensively. This Tennessee program is starting to turn the corner, and so that's why I went with 60%. It's a rivalry game. It's at Tennessee. They are so desperate to beat Alabama. It's been so long. So we're going to put that there. Texas A&M, I think, is really going to be improved this year. I think they'll have a chance to beat Alabama, but Alabama's still going to be favored. And with the 60% games, we're talking about a spread that's 5, 6, 7, 8 points, something like that. I don't see a double-digit spread in that game. And then the Auburn game in the Iron Bowl, you never know what you're going to get in that game. I know it's in Tuscaloosa, but Auburn might turn out to be pretty good this year. So I think that's a game that, I think Auburn, Texas A&M, and Tennessee really are probably closer to 70%. But again, we went with 60% because that's what we have on our scale. And then we have the 50-50 games. So no games where Alabama is going to be an underdog, in my opinion. Georgia and LSU, I think, are 50-50 games. These are games where the spread would be, maybe a field goal, something like that. Georgia, that's going to be a huge game in Tuscaloosa, but it is a game that I could see going either way. I think home field advantage does lean me towards Alabama a little bit, but Georgia's going to be really good, and that's going to be a great game. And then the LSU game, if it was in Tuscaloosa, I probably would actually put that at 60% because of everything that LSU is losing. But in Death Valley, in Baton Rouge, tough place to play. I think you got to say that that's a 50-50 game, and if LSU can kind of keep that mojo going from last year, and they can keep that passing game at the same type of level, and it's not going to be the same level, but they can keep it close to what they did last year, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And in Baton Rouge, again, that's a 50-50 game in my opinion. So you average all these numbers out, And the projected record for Alabama is 9-3, and that's like the best we've seen in the SEC. If you watch the other videos, all the teams, Georgia, LSU, these teams at the top of the SEC, it comes out 9-3 just because of the odds. So when you start to do the math on this, and you add all these percentages up and then average them out, Georgia, LSU, the odds would say that Alabama is going to lose one of those games. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn, the odds would say they're going to lose at least one of those games. That's just the way it works when you average it out. But 9-3 for Alabama is what they should do against this schedule. More times than not, they do better than what they should do. The schedule is a little bit tougher this year, but I think 9-3 would be a major disappointment for Alabama. I would expect them to do better than 9-3, but our prediction will come again at a later date. This is just a projected record, kind of based off of the schedule and how tough the schedule is. If they do again what they should do against this schedule, Alabama would be 9-3 in 2020. Thank you for watching this video. If you're an SEC football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in SEC football, keep it right here.